The United States declared independence from Britain on July 4, 1776, but the Revolutionary War lasted until 1783, when the Treaty of Paris was signed. George Washington, the first U.S. president, was unanimously elected in 1789 and served 2 terms. The U.S. Constitution was written in 1787 and became the supreme law of the land in 1789 after being ratified by the states. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, was added in 1791 to protect individual freedoms. The Louisiana Purchase of 1803 doubled the size of the United States when President Thomas Jefferson bought land from France for $15 million. The War of 1812 between the U.S. and Britain ended in a stalemate but boosted American nationalism. The Monroe Doctrine of 1823 warned European powers against colonizing or interfering in the Americas. The California Gold Rush began in 1848, attracting thousands of people to the West in search of fortune. The Civil War 1861–1865 was fought between the Northern States Union and Southern States Confederacy over slavery and states' rights. President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, declaring freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states. Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, just days after the Civil War ended. The 13th Amendment 1865 abolished slavery in the United States. The Transcontinental Railroad was completed in 1869, linking the East and West coasts for the first time. The Statue of Liberty was gifted to the U.S. by France in 1886 as a symbol of freedom. The Wright brothers made the first successful airplane flight in 1903 in North Carolina. The U.S. entered World War I in 1917, helping the Allies win against Germany. The 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, was ratified in 1920. The Great Depression 1929–1939 was the worst economic crisis in U.S. history, leaving millions unemployed. The New Deal, introduced by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, helped the U.S. recover from the Great Depression. The U.S. joined World War II after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. The U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, leading to Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. The United Nations (UN) was established in 1945, with the U.S. as a founding member. The Cold War 1947–1991 was a period of political tension between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. The Korean War 1950–1953 was fought between North and South Korea, with the U.S. supporting the South. The civil rights movement in the 1950s and 1960s sought to end racial segregation and discrimination. Brown v. Board of Education 1954 declared segregation in schools unconstitutional. Rosa Parks sparked the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 by refusing to give up her seat to a white passenger. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous, "I Have a Dream" speech in 1963 in Washington, D.C. President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963 in Dallas, Texas. The U.S. landed the first man on the moon in 1969 during the Apollo 11 mission. The Vietnam War 1955–1975 was one of the most controversial conflicts in American history. The Watergate scandal led to President Richard Nixon resigning in 1974. The U.S. celebrated its bicentennial 200th anniversary in 1976. The Iran hostage crisis 1979–1981 lasted 444 days, with 52 Americans held captive. The first personal computer was introduced by IBM in 1981. President Ronald Reagan helped end the Cold War with strong policies against the Soviet Union. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, signaling the end of the Cold War. The U.S. led a coalition in the Gulf War 1990–1991 to drive Iraq out of Kuwait. The World Trade Center was attacked on September 11, 2001, leading to the War on Terror. The U.S. invaded Afghanistan in 2001 and Iraq in 2003 to combat terrorism. Hurricane Katrina 2005 was one of the deadliest natural disasters in U.S. history. The first African American president, Barack Obama, was elected in 2008. The COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 affected millions of Americans and led to economic challenges. The U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, ending a 20-year military presence. The U.S. is the third largest country in the world by land area and population. The American flag has 50 stars, representing the 50 states, and 13 stripes for the original colonies. The U.S. has the world's largest economy, with a GDP exceeding $25 trillion. Hollywood, based in California, is the global center of the film industry. The National Football League (NFL) is the most popular sports league in the U.S. The U.S. has sent more people to space than any other country. The White House has been the official residence of U.S. presidents since 1800. Thanksgiving was first celebrated by the Pilgrims in 1621 and became a national holiday in 1863. The bald eagle is the national bird of the U.S. The Liberty Bell, a symbol of American independence, is located in Philadelphia. The U.S. has had 46 presidents since 1789. Route 66, one of the most famous highways, was established in 1926. The Empire State Building in New York was the tallest building in the world when completed in 1931. The first U.S. capital was New York City before moving to Philadelphia and later Washington, D.C. Harvard University, founded in 1636, is the oldest university in the U.S. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is located in Cleveland, Ohio. The Grand Canyon is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. The U.S. has the most Olympic gold medals in history. The Alaska Purchase in 1867 cost only $7.2 million from Russia. The U.S. dollar is the most widely used currency in the world. The Pentagon is the world's largest office building. The first American newspaper was published in 1690. The first telephone call was made by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. The first McDonald's opened in 1940 in San Bernardino, California. The Hoover Dam, built in 1936, provides power to millions. The Golden Gate Bridge, built in 1937, is one of the most iconic landmarks. The Internet was invented in the U.S. in the 1960s. The Super Bowl is one of the most watched television events each year. The Las Vegas Strip is the brightest place on Earth when viewed from space. The Declaration of Independence was signed in Philadelphia. The United States Postal Service (USPS) was established in 1775.